Hello again. Help number 7 that I'm reading from John Flavel's book on keeping your heart as a Christian in times of adversity, keeping your mind and your faith right in our current circumstances. This is the last one I'm doing, and if you're feeling burdened and you need your faith and your mind guarded against false views in this time of adversity, the 7th thing that John Flavel says is this: compare your difficulties with reality. What does he mean by that? If your heart still refuses to be comforted in the previous 6 helps, if your heart still refuses to be comforted, then do just one more thing. Compare the condition in which you are now, that condition with which you are most dissatisfied, with the condition in which others are and which you deserve to be. Others are in roaring flames, howling under the scourge of the vengeance of God, and among them both you and I deserve to be. Oh, my soul, my heart, whatever difficulties we are in, is it hell? Is my condition as bad as that of the damned? What would thousands of people now in hell give to exchange places with me, even in my difficulty? Many may say, oh, you still believe in hell? Yes, and if you don't, you're not a Christian, because it isn't me or hellfire preachers that talk about hell. Jesus Christ talks about hell. Jesus, the only Saviour, the only one that forgives sinners. It's he that talks in Luke 16 about the rich man who went to hell, and Lazarus, the beggar, that went to heaven. But the rich man, he says, was tormented in the flames. It was Jesus Christ repeatedly in the synoptic gospels that says that certain people will be cast into outer darkness where there's weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth. So if you don't believe that, you're not a Christian and you're not following Jesus, because you don't believe what Jesus says. All Christians believe in hell. Let me read on. But the point, of course, being, if we're feeling bad about ourselves, compare our condition with the conditions of others. I have read, says the author, that which the Duke of Condé, who had voluntarily subjected himself to much poverty, he was one day observed and pitied by a lord of Italy, who out of a tender heart wished him to be more careful, or more careful of his person. Look after yourself more, in other words. The Duke answered, Sir, be not troubled, and think not that I suffer from want. For I send a harbinger, that's someone that goes before, like a herald, a harbinger before me, who makes ready my lodgings each night and takes care that I will be royally entertained. The Lord asked him, who was this harbinger? He answered, the knowledge of myself and the consideration of what I deserve for my sins, which is eternal torment. With this knowledge I arrive at my lodging, however unprovided or poor I find it, and I think, whatever my condition, it's much better than what I actually really deserve. Why do you complain, says John Flavel. Thus the heart may be kept from desponding and complaining and murmuring against God by a comparison of our difficulties with reality. When we compare our condition with reality, or with the reality of what others' condition, or the condition with which others find themselves in, our condition's not so bad after all. Sure it isn't. I remember hearing a minister who was visiting a sick person in the hospital, and he told us at the minister's fraternal, he said he went into the hospital to visit this man who was very seriously ill and was dying of cancer. There was no cure. And the minister came into the bedside and was talking to the man, and as usual in Northern Ireland, we talk a lot about the weather, and he was complaining about the weather. The pastor was complaining about the weather, saying it's raining outside, it's terrible, it's windy and it's cold. And the man lying in the bed dying of cancer said to him, "I wish I could be out in it." And the minister said it made him really think that the wee bit of rain and weather wasn't so bad, that this man was in a far worse condition than getting hit with a little bit of rain. So I hope these helps have been of help to you. There are 7 of them. Keep your mind, your thoughts, your faith upon the Lord in times of adversity. 7 helps. The first one was God's plan is for our good. The second one, God's bitter medicine. Sometimes the remedy or the cure that we need is not always pleasant. Sure it isn't. Thirdly, in difficulties, let us always remember that you are precious to the Lord as his children. Fourthly, God's restraint keeps us safe. Fifthly, God answers our prayers his way, not ours. Sixthly, God commands us, don't worry. Don't worry, because you just need to trust in the Lord. He's your Father. And seventhly, guard your heart in thinking, or by comparing your condition with the terrible condition of which others find themselves, even the damned in hell. Christians, take these things, let us take these things to our heart and take courage in these things, that our faith and our minds will be strong even in difficulty. Let us not be afraid. Alexander the Great was one of the greatest generals ever to live, and he said this: "There has been a constant war, a war against fear. Those who have the courage to overcome it are made free, and those who are conquered by fear are made to suffer until they have the courage to defeat it." I would add to that, you can only have the courage to defeat fear by knowing the eternal God. The psalmist says in the Psalm number 46, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth be removed, though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof be troubled, and the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom then shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though a host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this shall I be confident. Confident in what? Written by David, the battle king. He would be confident that his heart would not fear, no matter what happens, because because God is his refuge. God is the all-powerful one in whom he trusts. May you and I continue to trust in the omnipotent God. Amen, and thanks for listening.